Let's have some fun talking about how to create equivalent fractions numerically. Pause the video, write this down, and then let's talk about it. Okay, here we go. So in this bubble, you have written down whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do to the denominator. How we create equivalent fractions numerically, okay? We worked on creating them pictorially with pictures, okay, and with numbers. And so now I'm going to show you the M3L1Mathinex way, okay? Creating equivalent fractions is so easy. If you remember that whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do to the denominator. The numerator sits on the top of the line, and so my voice is really, really high. And the denominator is sitting under the fraction line or the fraction bar, so my voice is really, really low. Mrs. Dunford would be so proud. So, if we can remember that whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do to the denominator, or whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator, you will be able to create equivalent fractions. Here is what I'm talking about. Let's say I have the fraction 1/4 and I want to create an equivalent fraction. I am going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number to create an equivalent fraction. I could also divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number, and it will also create an equivalent fraction. So here's what I'm talking about. If I multiply the numerator by 3, whatever I do to the numerator, I have to do to the denominator. This is how we create equivalent fractions. 1 times 3 is 3, and 4 times 3 is 12. 1/4 is equivalent to 3/12. Let's take a look at 2/3. Let's create an equivalent fraction for 2/3. Well, whatever I do to the numerator, I have to do to the denominator. Let's multiply the numerator by 2. And if I multiply the numerator by 2, I'm going to multiply the denominator by 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. They represent the same amount. You find an equivalent fraction for 2/5. I can hear you giving me your answers. So what if I multiplied the numerator and the denominator by 2? 2 times 2 is 4, and 5 times 2 is 10. 2/5 is equivalent to 4/10. Let me ask you this. Are these two fractions equivalent? Well, let's see. If we did the same thing to the numerator as we did to the denominator, 3 times what is 6? Yeah, times 2. And whatever we do to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator. So Is this true? 2 times 2 equals 3? So 2/3 is not equivalent to 3/6. That is not, those two are not equivalent fractions. Be careful also, girls and boys, that when you are showing how you are creating these equivalent fractions, that we are not writing this, okay? Because this is not the same thing as finding an equivalent fraction. This is multiplying a fraction by a whole number, and that is not what we want to do. So I always need you to show me how you created, by drawing your parentheses, always having your equal signs, how did you create your equivalent fractions? 1 times 5 is 5, 3 times 5 is 15. 1/3 is equivalent to 5/15. Whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do to the denominator. That's all there is to it.